good afternoon. It's Tuesday, 7 o'clock at night. It's one more show of the Neighborhood News Show. We on the air for the past 4 years, going very soon celebrate our 5th anniversary. But anyway, every Tuesday, 7 o'clock at night, here at Channel 95, we're back with Neighborhood News. And tomorrow, Wednesday, at 8 o'clock at night, we're back for one more show in Portuguese called Amigos. And we will have guests there as well. Today we have friends here on our, it's not first time, Mike Miozza and Brenda is here from the Charter Review Commission. And we're going to be talking about the charter because I think this is it. You close the book.
Yes.
And it's like when we do a test. We close the book, whatever it's there, it's there.
It's true, yeah.
I cannot add anything. Yeah. Let the professor just tell me what I did wrong.
Yeah. That's right. And we'll be told that.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever you guys had to do, whatever you guys think that was the best thing to do, the best decisions to put it, it's there, and now it's up to the voters of the city to read it and agree it or not agreed with.
Right, exactly.
One thing that I've been hearing out there, and matter of fact, that you were here before and you told us about, is that has to be voted in total. So either it's a yes or a no.
Yeah.
And one thing that I would like to start saying is this. I may be going to have something that I'm not going to agree with.
Right.
I may be going to have stuff that I'm going to agree with. But the way I'm going to review it is you have 10 things for me to look at it. If I don't like one thing and I like 9, that gives me a good idea to support it. Because in 5 years, I will have a chance, and we will have a chance to maybe fix it.
Yep, that's correct.
That one point that I don't like it
that's
about
good.
it.
Yep.
So that's what I'm going to ask people to see it.
Yep.
And people to see it and to vote it on. Just vote, don't vote no because it's one thing there that you don't agree with. But voting yes, you will give chance to get back and change whatever it's there that you don't like it, because you will have a better chance in 5 years to fix it. And I'm going to give you the time. I'm just trying to explain this for the viewers to kind of understand, and that's how I'm going to view this process and how I'm going to be able to vote it. You pretty much put the structure up of a house with 10 rooms.
Yeah.
Now it's up to us to decide what we want to put in those rooms.
Yeah.
So for the bad thinking out there of people that thinking about voting no, at least vote to approve the structure, and the structure, that's what you're trying to do this year. And then next year, we will be able to change those rooms and change the colors of the furniture that we want to put on those rooms. That's a Portuguese explanation.
No,
I don't know if it makes sense to you.
I think it's a great analogy. I think it's a great analogy.
It is a good.
I think,
But that's I like to simplify things for people to understand. That's the way I see it.
Yep.
And that's what I want you us to go over today on our show.
Yep.
And explain to us what was being changed, what did you guys change, going forward. Yep. And I used 5 minutes. A lot of people say that I love to hear myself, but I like to I like to explain before we start a show what is that we've been talking about, because somebody this could make the difference. If they're not interested, they're just going to click out and not watching the show. I want at least them to have a chance to know what will be, if they keep listening, what the information they can get. Mike.
Carlos, first off, thank you for having us on, Brenda and I. It's always great to have an opportunity to talk about the charter. We've been working on this for the last 18 months, and as you pointed out in your opening, last night we took a final vote, and the charter passed with a 7-to-1 vote. So as you also pointed out, now this goes to the voters. So it's out of our hands. We basically, as you also said, we laid a structure. We did not change. We did not make any major changes. So we didn't flip the government 180. So the mayor will still be the CEO of the city. We'll still have a 9-member city council elected at large, school committee 6 members with the mayor being 7, and the mayor will still serve as the chair. What we did do, though, was we put a lot of structure into the new charter. Now, you got to, as you know, the charter is 84 years old. It's not been touched other than special acts through the years. Our charter is about 65 pages long. Only 12 of those pages have any relevancy to the government. Now, for me to cover all the changes we may need a couple of shows, because I believe there's about 30 what I consider significant changes, and I can start going through some of those with you. For instance, for one of the big things I think I'm pleased with is that now the city council, and let me just say this, you know, some people said, well, we want this balance of power. I've looked at it as not a balance of power. I don't even really like using that word. I'm looking at it as balance of responsibility. There needs to be a balance of responsibility between the legislative branch and the executive branch. So, for instance, one of the things that we did and we voted on as a commission is that now all appointments made by the mayor now will go in front of the city council. All boards, all commissions, the city council will have 45 days to act on those appointments. I think that's a good thing. Even department heads will be part of that. So now the city council will have what I call some skin in the game. I think that's a good change that we made. All board members, commissions will now have to be city residents. Okay, so you won't be able to live outside the city and serve on a city board. I think that's a good change. One of the changes that we also made is, you know how we have all these boards and we don't know where the vacancies are and who's on them? Now annually, the mayor will have to post on the city website where the vacancies are in these boards. And not only do that, he's going to have to tell the public how you can take that, how you can get that position. Okay? So that's going to be a change that, you know, right now we know there's a lot of vacancies on boards. We don't know what boards have needs for seats. The other thing is that I think it's every 5 years, the mayor and the city council will have to convene a special committee to look at all these multiple member bodies that we have out there to determine, A, is there a need for those bodies? Should we dissolve those bodies? Do we need to increase the membership? So now all that'll happen on a 5-year basis. A lot of the changes that we put in, Carlos, really has to deal with the mayor. The mayor's going to have a lot of new responsibilities now in terms of finance. As you know, one of the things that this city struggled with for the last 20 plus years is our finances. So we put a lot of structure, a lot of planning that the mayor is going to have to do around finance. So for instance, let's just talk about budget. One of the things that we propose in this new charter is that annually there'll be a meeting, a public meeting, with the mayor, the city council, the school committee, and the superintendent. There'll be a public meeting where they will talk about the budget and all try to get on the same page. That'll be a public meeting. The city council, now you know how they get the budget 30 days? Well, we extended that by 2 weeks. So now they'll get the budget 45 days. Now I know people say, 2 weeks isn't much, but it will make a difference. I mean, because we're asking the councilors to make an informed decision. You know, we're talking about a $260 million budget and only having 30 days to look at it, not a lot of time. So we've given them 2 more weeks. The city council now will be able to delete or reduce line items. They won't be able to increase them, but they'll be able to reduce those line items. What else did we do? Jump in anytime you can, if you think of anything that I made. So around budgets, there was something I'm missing that I wanted to mention. We do have now a new succession planning. If the mayor were to have to vacate the office, right now the way we do it is the city council president would go into that office if he or she was willing to do so, and if not, they'd have an election, I guess, of the membership. Now it will go to the council vice president and the council president, and then the vice president, and then if need be, if somebody's not able or willing to serve, then they'll take an election of that body. Changes to, you got some? Go ahead.
We have it also that the people that want to do citizen input.
Oh yes.
That was a big topic.
Yes.
We talked many hours on that. How people will be able to be allowed to speak, and especially at special meetings that they're able to speak, because a lot of times they weren't able to speak, and they should be allowed. They live in our city, and they should be able to voice their opinion on the topic that they're speaking
On the
about.
agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
On the topic that they just can't come out and just talk about anything. It'd be on a topic. That was a big thing that
Yeah,
we
there
talked
was. We
about.
had a
So
lot.
and that's going to be in effect for all boards, right? For
Yes.
all-
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all boards will have to come up with a policy, so that's a good point, Brenda, with a policy on public input. They can talk about any item at their regular meetings. They can talk about any item that is under their jurisdiction. If it's a special meeting like the budget, then they would only be able to talk about the budget. And that was one of the things I was thinking about, talking about budget. Now there's going to be a public hearing on the budget. We don't have that now, where they'll be able to give input. One of the things I think we did, I'm very proud of, is I think with this document, Carlos, we created more transparency, more public involvement, more access to documents than you've ever seen in our city's history. So I'm very pleased with that. There'll be more participation, more involvement by the citizens. So I'm really, really happy with that.
If this review charter has the support of the voters,
Yes.
when are they getting in effect?
A lot of the provisions will go effect immediately. A lot of them will go through some type of transition. So we have a whole section, it's Article 10, it's called the transition provisions. So, to fairness to the mayor and the city council, there's some things where we're asking for plans that, they can't do right away. So we put dates where, by 2019, 2020, you'll have to, the mayor. So there are going to be some items that will give the administration and the city time to do them. Other things that don't require that will go into effect almost immediately after this gets voted on November 7th. So.
And that will already affect the next year's elections?
Yes, some of the things that we put in elections. So, one of the things that I'm sure you're aware of, we've increased the amount of signatures that a candidate would now need to get to be eligible to be on the ballot. So for mayor, it's 300, and for the city council and for the school committee, it's 150 signatures. So that would go into effect at the next election cycle.
So it went up 100 signatures?
It went up, well, everything's 50 now, so it went up 250 for the mayor and 100 for city council and the school committee. And I'll be honest, I wanted to see something a little lower, but I don't really personally, and I've done a lot of signatures through my campaigns. Just for this charter, we had to go out and get 12,000 signatures. So I consider myself somewhat of an expert on getting signatures. I don't think 300 is a heavy lift, Carlos, for mayor. As you know, and you've been involved in the process. A lot of times you go to a political event, there's 100 people there. You pass out your petition, and people will sign it, whether they like you, whether they're going to support you. It's just to get you on the ballot. I mean, I've signed people's petitions that I probably wouldn't have voted for them in the ballot box, but I think they have a right to get on the ballot. You sign it. So I don't think it's a heavy lift. A lot of candidates will give them to their neighbors, people they work with, their family. So I don't think it's a real heavy lift.
I don't think so either. I think it's by having it upped a little bit, it's a way of a person that really wants to run And then instead of just getting their families, they can actually go to the north end of the city and the south end of the city and introduce themselves and do a little work that to the seat that they want to run for, rather than just hand it out.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that as a commitment from the minute that the person decides to run for office.
Right.
But again, even if I don't agree with this, I have other 9 that I agreed with, and it's not fair for me to kill it. All the other 9 things that I like it to get it affected, and give it a chance and vote it yes, knowing that in 5 years, that's the only thing that I want to have changed.
Yeah, I think you're
out of the 9,
yeah.
It's the only thing I want to change. So I will give it a vote yes, but I will, in 5 years, I want to review again that part that I didn't agree on this process.
Yeah, I think, and I got to commend you for making that point. And you said it earlier, and you're saying it again. You know, this process is just the beginning of a process. This isn't the end all. And you're absolutely right. So there's going to be something. Look, there's some things in this charter that I am not crazy about that I got voted against.
Yeah.
A number of things, but overall, to your point, overall, is this a good document? Absolutely. So if there's 1 or 2 things that you're not crazy about, but overall, you like the document, yes, please vote for it.
Yeah.
Because we've worked hard to get it to this point.
We have.
And you know, it shouldn't be. You shouldn't throw the baby. You know, what is it? The baby out with the bathwater, just because you don't like 1 or 2 things. And to your point, we're going to have a review. We put a provision in there to have a review in 5 years. So if there's something that people don't like, and besides that, there's another way. If there's something in here that people don't like, and we learn early on, that's not working, we can do a special act. Okay, so there's mechanisms in place to change. So this isn't something we got to live with the next 100 years. Hopefully, we did a good enough job where most things are going to be palatable.
If we don't vote yes, now we're going to have to live another 100 years with the same one that we had before. Because I know what the UN and what went through just to get the signatures to get on the ballot.
Yes.
That was the first process.
Yes.
And just that process, takes a lot of work to do it.
Yes.
And I don't think that very soon going to have somebody that's going to go through all that work that you went through to collect those signatures, at least to have this done. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think that's something that people should think about, is at least to give them life. That's pretty much what it is. This is it's a dead document that we need to give them life. And after we give them life, now we're gonna work what did we need to make it, to survive.
People, the residents of Fall River have to realize that it's a document that's clearly able to read, understand. You don't have to look and see what this means, what that means. It's really there in black and white, and it's a really good document for the city of Fall River.
And I have to say sometimes, and I like to read, but when it's points there that I have to review in a different book, or that I have to search on the internet, it's going to throw me off.
Yeah.
It's going to throw me off. And that's the old charter. Because that's what you guys, that's what made your job difficult, was where I'm going to find the answer for this. So if the board cannot have a clarification on this point, how can the public, just a regular guy, read this charter? They're never going to be able to read it. And to now to have a document that you really can start in page 1 and read it to page 57, I think.
57, yeah.
57.
Yep.
And be able to understand
She gave me a class before you got
That's
here.
good. Yeah.
Be able to understand it
Exactly.
and be involved in it, and really know what it's all about. Very simple, where you don't have to look back. You don't have to go on the computer and say, what does this mean? It's organized, it's there, it's very understandable, easy to read. It's a really, really good document that we put many, many hours discussion. I think the city of Fall River needs to look at it, and it's not just because I did it, but
Yeah.
along with my other colleagues, but I mean, it's a good document.
And I went to a few hearings that you guys had, public, I participated in a few. I watched it on TV, a few meetings, and just between the boards, I know you guys were not agreeing with a lot of stuff. You guys were talking back and forth, back and forth.
We weren't singing Kumbaya.
So you guys are not agreeing with everything, but
it was a good democratic deliberative process, and I'm very pleased with.
and you have to think that couple that was attending. I guess that somebody that could answer questions to you. To the board.
The consultants?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, they were the godsend.
We
needed
them.
We needed them. We never would have got through this process.
And I have to
without
say, our child is so confused that even them sometimes were getting confused
Yeah.
and didn't know what the hell you guys were talking about.
Yeah, they. I think we hired the best consultants in Massachusetts to help us. I know some people were concerned about the money. I think it's the best money that this city has ever spent, and I truly believe that if we adopt this charter, we will get that money back 3, 4, 5 time fold. I really truly believe that. I think it was great money.
We could have never done it. We
Absolutely.
could have never. We needed.
No.
I mean, with state law and everything, we needed someone to tell us.
Yeah, and so now until election day, right? The board has a different act now.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. We kind of, I said from the beginning of this process, half of our job was to write the charter.
Yes.
The other half of the job is outreach, public outreach and education. That starts at our next meeting, and I'll take this opportunity at our May 15th meeting at Cuss Middle School. We're going to have an informational forum. We'll have a PowerPoint where we'll go over the 10 articles and take the highlights of each of those articles and go over some of the points that we've been talking about here to the public and start getting them to understand what's in the document. We won't be able to cover all 57 pages, and this will be a process now from the time we're sitting here. And this is part of what we're doing today. Actually, this is really our first educational forum right now. It starts this process. So we're hoping that we'll be doing a lot of these. We'll be getting out in the neighborhoods, neighborhood meetings, association meetings, senior housing. We'll be getting out there. We'll be printing up. We've started already printing up some like one-page informational sheets so people can get the Reader's Digest version of it without having to read all 57 pages. So that's our job. I mean, we're in a campaign in a way. We need to campaign for this charter. I have nearly like 6 years invested in this. As you mentioned, the time that it took to collect all those signatures, the 18 months we've been on the Charter Commission, we still got another 6 months of work. I'm very pleased with what we came up with. I'm pleased with the debate and the discussion we had. I think we gave it the best we could. I mean, none of us, nine of us. I mean, this was a unique opportunity. This doesn't come around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not a lot of communities go through this process. We didn't have the expertise. I know the hours I spent. I know the hours that Brenda spent. The rest of my colleagues spent. I'm very proud. I think the people of Fall River should be proud. I think we gave them the best we possibly could. And to your point earlier, if there's something that we didn't quite get right, in 5 years. See, that's the beauty of this document. We have a charter now that we don't touch, we don't review. Now we put a mechanism in the charter that every 5 years, the first year will be a 5-year review, and then 10 years thereafter, this charter will be touched and looked at, and we can make those changes that you talked about.
What I would like to do is probably would be a good idea because you have 10 chapters.
Yes.
On that.
Yep.
What I would like to do is if we could tape individual chapters, because that probably could be like 8 to 10 minutes
Yep.
long.
Yep.
And we could play it on Channel 95.
Yep.
And we can usually use those for Channel 18 because I know they work together.
Yep.
But I think will be a good idea to go. Instead of having like an hour long, sometimes people don't have time to sit an hour long. But if we break it up by chapters, a person have more chance to like an 8-10 minute video to go chapter by chapter. And After they see
Look
the
at.
second, they will come 2 days after, whatever, and click on the third chapter and go chapter by chapter. I think that will
think
be
it's a great idea,
a great
yeah.
idea for you
Yes,
guys to
yes, we'll talk.
promote this.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want people to be afraid. I want them to be informed.
Informed.
I want them to know and then make an informed decision. Well, if they, at the end of the day, if they're not going to support it, but at least they did it based on, knowledge. They had an opportunity, and that's going to be our job to get out and get as much information out there.
Do you have somebody on the board that speaks Portuguese to bring it on a Portuguese show?
I don't believe we do.
If not, we're gonna have to sit, and you're gonna have to give me the information, and I will do one in Portuguese.
I mean, we could probably find somebody, but I don't think
Yeah.
anybody on the
I
board.
mean, we have friends
Yep,
that speak
yep,
Portuguese
right.
that are
Right.
involved with and help this process and everything that we could. But I think would be a good idea for us to reach out to the other public too, and reach out to the not just the Portuguese but the Cambodians, the French.
Yeah, we need to reach, yep.
They
Right.
all
We
voted
got to
on
reach
the
out
scene,
to everyone.
Yep.
Mike, we are
Out of
the
time.
end of
Wow.
we at the end of the 30 minutes again.
Thank you.
Come back anytime that
Thank
you
you.
want to come
Thank
back.
Thank you for having us.
Just come back,
Yep.
you're not a stranger.
Yep.
The faster we pass this, the fastest Mike's gonna come back to politics. So we need to get him this out of his hands so he can come back to politics, because
Yeah.
a lot of people out there misses you
Thank
as
you. Thank you,
as
Carlos. Nice. Thank you.
a city council. So
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank you.
Brenda, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for
Appreciate it, as
always
always.
the help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we see you next week. Thank you.